what they are doing, like in some societies, people decorate dead bodies. They paint dead bodies before cremation. They are doing the same. Whatever little life it had, especially during monsoons, that is also.
The Mulla River is one of the oldest in the world, older than the Himalayas and the Ganga, around 60 million years old to be specific. It is the confluence of multiple rivers, most prominently the Mulla and the Mutta, but also the Bhima and the Ambi, among others. The Mulla River originates in Mulshi, specifically the Maleshwar Devrai forest. And the Mutta River originates in the Western Ghats, specifically in a village called Vegre. The rivers hold great importance to many, with most of the Pune greater area getting their waters from here. Yet, these rivers are also very important mythologically. It is said that a king named Gajana, known for his shallowness, sat down for penance in the Sayadi mountains. This alarmed an already insecure Indra, who sent down 2 apsaras to disturb him. Infuriated, Gajana cast a curse on them, turning them into the rivers that we see flow through Pune today, the Mulla and the Mutta. Only when they met the Bhima River could they reach salvation. For millions of years, these rivers have supported life along their banks. The Mutta has even earned the nickname of Mutai, meaning mother, for nurturing animals with its water. But now, these rivers are dying. Quickly. The water is drying up, and the quality of the remaining water is going down. The government knows this, and has created a project known as the Mulla Mutta River Redevelopment Project to try to save the river. But will this be enough? In this documentary, that's what we'll find out. The government, specifically the PMC or the Pune Municipal Corporation, is trying to support the river through a multi-step plan to reduce the sewage, support accessibility, and prevent the flooding. While I'd love to put my full trust in the government, I can't, because this project isn't shaping up to what it's expected to be. See, this project was modeled after a similar project done on the Sabarmati River in Gujarat, which culminated in disastrous flooding. They planned to reduce the width of the river to 285 meters and create artificial embankments out of concrete so that people could enjoy their riverbank. Pune hopes to reduce the river at some stretches to 90 meters. Now tell me how this will reduce flooding? And it's only made worse by the fact that Pune has 5 dams along the river, compared to the sole dam of Ahmedabad. 3 years ago, in May of 2022, the sewage created daily was approximately 1,328 million liters per day, and the sewage treatment capacity was around 507 million liters per day. For this reason, the government plans to create 2 new sewage treatment facilities, which will support an additional 500 million liters per day. This is great and all, but it still leaves a cool 425 million liters per day flowing through the river. Let's have a guess on what the government plans to do instead of creating more sewage treatment plants. If you guessed creating a commerce plaza, then you'd be correct. Actually, 80% of the allocated money for this project is going towards the concretization of the riparian zones for commercial purposes. Riparian zones are zones along the river which act as kind of a transition from wet to dry, similar to a wetland. And even though the government has planned to keep most of it unharmed, a lot of it is being concretized, as you can see behind me, where the cranes are. Something that will have the biggest impact on determining the success of this project is climate change, our favorite impending natural disaster. Yet in more than 800 pages of official documentation, there has been no mention of the words climate change. Today, I've talked to Dr. Yewele, the head of the Jal Dindi organization, who helps support our rivers.
The importance of river is beyond the present year. All the past civilization you must have seen have all got established on the banks of the river. The moment the river vanished or became narrow or got depleted of its water, the civilization perished. Unless river is there, unless potable water is there, nothing really flourishes or survives. So if I have to clean the river, I need to involve the masses. And fortunately for me, there was a movement which had a history of more than 800 years ago. You must have seen people walk from holy places of Alandi and Dehu to Pandharpur. So I thought if I can add a rider of water conservation, environment, health and science to the tradition which is there for last 800 years, most of my job will be done. If there is no public participation, the entire exercise fails. So only river which is now perpetually flowing in Maharashtra is Mulant. The river doesn't have its own water. Panchet, Varasgaon, Khadakwasla, these dams, only during monsoons the overflow comes there. They have blocked all the water. But yet if you get onto the river, if you are in Kalyananagar, you will see that river keeps on flowing. So where is the water coming from? There is no discharge. So it is by and large the sewage and the sludge of the city of Pune, the industrial waste and the domestic waste, which finally flows down the river. Most of it is untreated. And secondly, which I would like to point out, and you should make a note of this, from Mandai we collect vegetables. Where are they grown? Palak, apna methi, the essential manjri and herbs. What water do they use for irrigation? Mulant. And any product, agriculture product, which is grown on polluted water, the pollutants can go up to a height of 2 feet. So if you eat a fruit grown on that water, which grows after 10 feet or so, that is relatively safe. But our palak, spinach, methi, onions, garlic, whatever we eat, so what we are throwing there is coming back to us. Not only that we believe that the pollution comes from upstream and goes towards downstream, but that's not the case. 3 months of the year, we have winds flowing from east to west. So all the aerosols are picked up and they are redeposited in our lakes. There's going to be flooding. You have narrowed down the river. You have killed the riparian system. If you ever get a chance to be on the river, take a stick and scratch the floor. Out come, you'll be, a plastic bag will come up with that as if a dirty flag on a straight flag post. The entire river basin is covered with plastic. What we are doing, or what they are doing essentially, this is against river regeneration. This is river bank beautification. They have already killed whatever river it used to come alive during monsoons and made it into a dead river. Had that fund been allocated to me or people with my ideological thinking, what they would have done, they would have increased the number of STPs. They would have ensured that STPs work well. They would have implemented innovative techniques, and then they would have sort of going back from the unit, from main river to major drainage lines, final to every household. What has happened is that all the population has come to stay where river is still alive. They're making it, but it doesn't work. I'll give an example. Waterways STP. You know where it is? Waterways STP is the 17 MLDs, the strength of that. Now this is the STP center, right? There was a nala which was pouring untreated sewage water. There was another nala adjoining to the south pouring in untreated sewage water. As commissioner was coming, it was working 100% capacity. Through a 2 or 3 inch pipe, the purified water was coming out, going back to the river. The intake pipes, the manholes were broken. When the contractor was told about this, the sewage was already leaking in. He said that it's the bores which break. Now, I'm surprised if a domesticated bore can break through concrete. What they do when the plastic gets accumulated, there is a stagnation. So all these contractors, they break open the manhole and then let the water seep.
Here I am at the confluence of the Mulla Mutha and Bhima River. Mythologically, this place is sacred because it's where the Apsaras, Mullah and Mutta reached salvation. Yet, not in actuality, because approximately 500 million liters of untreated sewage travels down from the Mullah Mutta into the Bhima River every single day. This is incredibly detrimental to the people that rely on this river and come in contact with it every day because it causes skin conditions, problems like cancer, and worse. People who come and wash their clothes here are all at risk. As well, the fishermen are at risk because the only type of fish that can survive in these polluted waters is tilapia, which isn't even a native species. Can you imagine how awfully the river must be polluted to have only one of the 70 original species still survive in this river today? Most pollution is attributed to household and industrial waste, as you know, which can be rich in elements like nitrogen and phosphates. When sewage isn't managed properly, these elements can make their way into the water and make it much more nutrient-rich. How amazing does that sound? Nutrient-rich water? But an excess of these elements can cause something known as an algae bloom. This is a phenomenon in which large amounts of algae and plankton grow unrestricted across the surface of the water. The plants growing on the surface effectively reduce the oxygen in the water and don't allow much sunlight to pass down into the water. What this does is effectively kill off much of the biodiversity within the river, and even when the algae dies, the decomposition process sucks out most of the excess oxygen left in the river and creates something known as dead zones, where nothing can survive. This clearly has awful effects on wildlife, but it has some pretty gnarly effects on humans as well. Some household detergents carry compounds that mimic the estrogens in the body, which can lead to PCOS or polycystic ovarian syndrome and breast cancer in women, as well as low sperm counts and prostate cancer in men. Estrogen impacts fish physiology and reproductive development of all types of animals. It can even make a fish intersex. They also affect the growth of a plant.
And then finally, when one of the senior corporation officers told me, this is 1995, "Okay, doctor, why are you worried? By year 2025, every drop of city of Pune which goes to the river will be purified, and we are in a condition as worse." That's the time I realized that I need to do something.
Up to this moment, everything we've talked about in this documentary has been focused on the past. Now I'd like to take a moment to look at the future. What will happen to our rivers from 2025 onwards? What does our city plan to do? It seems as if this project is moving ahead unchanged, and the rivers are still being polluted. I could definitely tell the government what to do, but there was already a 114-page proposal sent to them by the Pune Ecological Society that they ignored. Yet you, as a citizen of Pune, have the opportunity to help support our rivers still. Firstly, make sure that you don't flush chemicals down the drain. For example, menstrual products, plastics, and excess household cleaning products should not be thrown in the drain and can easily pollute the river. Volunteer with an organization. In the description box, I've included a few organizations that will happily take you as a volunteer. And if you don't feel up to it, a simple donation will suffice. Stay committed to understanding what is happening in your waterways. If you make it a point to keep on learning about what is going on, then you effectively become an ally of the rivers. Support starts with being an advocate. Thank you so much. Bye.